Brad. Appreciate that. So, well, it is 6 o'clock, so we'll call this meeting to order. We've got anybody on the Facebook and YouTube video there as well. We'll welcome you to the council meeting tonight, and we'll carry on with Logan Belange is our new clerk, and she's going to do the roll call.
Thank you. Good evening, Your Worship. All members are present.
Thank you very much. Item 3 is a review of revisions or deletions to the agenda. Anybody else got anything they want to add or delete to the agenda tonight? Hearing none, we'll move on. We got a motion. Be it resolved, the City Council approves the agenda as printed. It's moved by Councillor Jelly, second by Councillor Whalen. Anybody opposed to this particular motion? Seeing none, we'll consider that motion carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature tonight? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 6, the review and adoption of the council minutes. And I think Logan has one correction that was pointed out earlier today.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. A correction was noted for the April 21st, 2020 regular meeting minutes, section 2 roll call. Tim Utley, Fire Chief, was present. So the minutes will be updated accordingly.
Okay. Thank you very much. We do have a motion moved by Councillor MacArthur, second by Councillor Foley. Be resolved that City Council approves the following minutes as amended. The April 21st regular council meeting, those minutes. So, anybody any errors or omissions? Anybody opposed to that motion? We will consider that motion carried. Thank you. There are no public meetings pursuant to the Planning Act, this Act, or other statutes. We've actually reached the first question and answer period. We'll have another one later on near the end of the meeting as well. So if there's any questions from council or members of the public, we have a chat box open there as well. That one of our directors will be reading those questions tonight as well. So if you do have any questions, just type in your question, and we'll try and answer those tonight there. So, is there any members of council have any questions at this point they want to deal with? Shelley, do we have any questions at all in the chat box?
No questions so far, Mayor Kidd.
Okay, well, hopefully we'll maybe have some for the second question and answer period. There are no presentations. She is the former resident. A request to rename an underpass, the current Dupuy underpass, and that's referred to senior staff. Look into that issue. 10B is a letter from Ashley Sage, the clerk for the township of North Dumfries. This is support for the tourism-orientated destination signage fee increase. That's received for your information. 10C is a letter from Melanie Hackey, the administrative clerk for the town of Gravenhurst, and looking for support for the community gardens, community centers, garden centers, and nurseries as essential services. And that's received for information. 10D is a letter from Louise Breer, the secretary of the BIA, regarding a letter of resignation for Sean Mackey. That's received for information. Hopefully they'll appoint a new chairman of that BIA. And 10E is a letter from James Frank, the economic development officer of the city of Shores, regarding the COVID-19 business impact survey results. And that's received for information. So good reading in that. And lastly, 10F is a letter from myself, the Oakland Regional Airport Authority, the chair of that airport authority, and it's regarding the ETRAA Ulmer's request. And there's a motion to be presented under new business for that. So that is all the correspondence, and I have a motion moved by Councillor Ferrier, second by Councillor Hewitt. Be it resolved, the City Council agrees to deal with communication items 10A through 10F according to the agenda references, unless somebody wants to bring back those issues there and have them dealt with in the subsequent council meeting.
Yes, Mayor Kidd?
Yes, Councillor McCarthy.
I think that the letter that you have with regards to the gardens and garden centers, nurseries, and being essential, this is probably is outdated.
Yes, I mean, the province did announce that the garden centers and nurseries are open for pickup anyways. They're maybe not open for public to walk through all the facilities, but they're open to pick up for sure. There's that may be already dealt with. Any other comments? Is there any opposed to that motion? We'll consider that motion carried then. Moving on to item number 11, the Community Council, Community and Regional. I have a draft resolution moved by Councilor MacArthur, second by Councilor Jelly. Be it resolved, the following minutes be accepted for information. A, the minutes of the District of Temiskaming Social Services Administrative Board meeting held on December the 18th, 2019. So, any comments on that set of minutes? If not, we'll consider that motion carried. Thank you. Item number 12 is the Community Council, the internal departments. And I got a draft resolution moved by Councilor Whalen, second by Councilor Hewitt. Be it resolved, the following minutes be accepted for information. A is the minutes of the Corporate Services Committee meeting held on April 15th, 2020. And B is the minutes of the Public Works Committee meeting held on April 16th, 2020. Is there any questions, comments on that two sets of minutes? Hearing none, I guess I'll say anybody opposed to this motion? If not, Councilor Jelly, your comment or no?
No, I'm waiting for the next one.
Okay, I'll consider that motion carried as well. So, reports by members of council tonight. Anybody got any reports?
I have a comment, if I may, Your Worship.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to talk a little bit about our landfill site. I was out there this morning, and I'm an early riser, so I was there a good 20 minutes before it opened. I was the 6th person in line to go in. Behind me, back probably a half a mile. I have to send certainly kudos out to the 2 gentlemen that were working at the landfill today. I was in within 5 minutes of it opening, dumped and was back out. The lineup was longer, but moving quite steadily. They're controlling the number of people going in. They're counting in, counting out. They're also getting names and license numbers of people that are going in so that we know. And I thought that was great. I went home and I was so pleased. I loaded another load of yard waste, and I went back to the landfill site, and that was approximately 10 o'clock. I was back home by 10:50. So I just want to send a shout out to those workers for Fippins. They did a great job. When you go in, they're telling you about distancing. If you know your person next to you that's unloading, please don't start up a conversation. Get in and get out. Very mannerly, very organized, and we should be proud of them. It's going to be interesting to see just how many people were out there today, because there was a lineup on the highway heading in there when I come back, line up on the highway going to the dump when I come back from the second trip. So I'm quite sure they had a long day out there, but they did a terrific job.
Yeah, and this dump site will be open Tuesday till Saturday this week, and again next week from Tuesday to Saturday. So during those 2 weeks. So that's great. That's working well. So, any other reports from members of council tonight?
Yeah, can I bring one up on issue, Mayor Kidd?
Yes, sir.
We discussed this briefly during the building maintenance committee meeting, and I apologize for not having a resolution ready, but the former New Liskeard Public Library building, I had asked if we could perhaps start the process on deciding what the public wants, what they would like to see done with that building, and the options available to council. So to the city manager, do we actually require a motion to start that process, or are you able to take it just from the recommendation?
Based on the recommendation from the Building Maintenance Committee, I spoke with Logan earlier this week, yesterday, I guess, Logan, and we'll be scheduling a public meeting in the near future. I believe we're looking at May 19th, Logan, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, that's fine, thank you. Just, it's an important building to the downtown, and I know we'd received some correspondence from one of the museums, so if we can start the process and take our time and give everybody an opportunity, then we'll be better prepared to decide what to do with it. So thank you for that.
Chris, another comment?
I just wanted to, why the 19th instead of tonight's meeting was we didn't have enough time to get notice out to everybody. So we are following up from that committee meeting that was held last Thursday.
So hopefully people can put in their written comments, and we'll be open to the microphones there for. Any other reports from members of council? Is there any notice of motions tonight? Seeing none, we'll jump right into the new business. We've got 15A as a memo 007. I got a motion moved by Councilor Perrier, second by Councilor Foley. Be resolved that Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores hereby acknowledges receipt of memo 007-2020 CS, and that Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw for the appointment of Logan Belonte as our municipal clerk for the City of Temiskaming Shores for consideration at tonight's May 5th, 2020 regular council meeting. Any comments before we vote on this motion? We definitely want to welcome Logan to our fold there. We've been doing an excellent job in the last couple of weeks there, and we look forward to working with you for their next upcoming long length of stay this time. So rather than the short two-year period before. So
Thank you very much.
So anybody opposed to this motion? Seeing none, we'll consider that motion carried. Welcome aboard, Logan. So, it'd be nice to do this in public there, for everybody present. So, 15B is a Administrative Report CS 018-2020, the marquee service contract for the CIM for the years 2021 through 2023. And I got a motion moved by Councilor MacArthur, second by Councilor Jelly. That Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report CS 018-2020, and that Council agrees to waive the request for proposals process and direct staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter into an agreement with Marquee Consulting for event coordination services for the Northern Ontario Mining Showcase events at the Canadian Institute of Mining, Metallurgy and Petroleum Convention in 2021, 2022, and 2023, conditional on the city attaining funding support from FedNor for consideration at the May 19, 2020 regular council meeting. Any comments on that particular motion? So this year, it's supposed to be in Vancouver this year. So it's canceled this year, but it'll be held in Montreal next year. So anybody opposed to this motion? Hearing none, we'll consider that motion carried. 15C is memo 006, 2020 PW, the Radley Hill Road / ONR crossing updates. And I have a motion moved by Councilor Hewitt, second by Councilor Whalen. Be it resolved, the Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores hereby acknowledge receipt of memo 006, 2020 PW, and the Council directs staff to proceed with the further investigations related to the engineering, design, runoff control, mitigation, and advanced warning lights, and the control lights for the crossing, with the administrative report for consideration at a future council meeting. Any comments on this particular motion? If not, anybody opposed to this motion? We will consider that motion carried as well. Moving on, 15D is memo 007, 2020 PW, the farmers market for 2020 operations. We've got a number of options here. I'll read the motion moved by Councilor Jelly, second by Councilor Ferrier. Be it resolved that the Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores hereby acknowledge receipt of memo 007, 2020 PW, and that either the Council authorizes the farmers market to commence operations as per normal schedule and according to the guidelines developed by Farmers Market Ontario and approved by the Temiskaming Health Unit, or the council authorizes farmers market to commence operations as per the normal schedule according to the guidelines developed by the Farmers Market Ontario and approved by the Temiskaming Health Unit, limiting operations to the exterior kiosk and outdoor space only, no access to the inside Riverside Place. Or as a third option, that council hereby postpones the use of Riverside Place for the operation of the farmers market until further notice. So, any comments on this? Jeff, did you want to make a choice? Are we good with that, or Danny?
Yeah, sure. I would like to suggest option one. If they're working with the health unit and the health unit is comfortable that it's meeting, the health standards that we need to really protect our citizens, I'm in favor of that.
Other comments? Danny, you had a comment?
Yeah, I was going to actually suggest option B. I think we have to be prepared that if we're gonna open up for one organization and we're gonna have them all lined up requesting the same opportunities. So I think we should give this some thought before we go too far down. They can still run the farmers market without having to have indoor access. And like I say, my only concern is if we do it for one, what is our response going to be to the next set of? I'm in favor of opening up a farmers market somehow, but I'm just not sure on how to do it.
Yeah, if we open the doors, we have to look after sanitizing the washrooms and make sure we sanitize the building. There will be just the food sales. There won't be any of the knickknacks being sold during the farmers market for the foreseeable future either. So that makes a little difference for our kiosk. Council MacArthur wants to make a comment, I think.
Yes, I agree with Councillor LaFerriere on this one. I think it should be option number one. I think obviously the key to this whole discussion is that the farmers market has been designated throughout Ontario as an essential service. Therefore, other groups that don't have essential service, we wouldn't be able to help them anyway. I do believe that with the health unit board, and I think I say seniors because I think there's a lot of seniors that use it. They're going to know by now the rules and regulations of how far they can walk around. They can't socialize. There's no breakfast. You go in, you buy, and you walk out, and that's it. That's all. And I think I don't know whether June the 1st is the date, but I'd like to see the Riverside Place used. I think this is a big event for a lot of folks on Saturdays. And when you have inclement weather, it's sure going to be tough just walking around those kiosks. So I'm for the whole deal, as long as the health unit is going to let this and people come out and people go in. But I think this is a big draw to our area. And I think it's good for the downtown and also all the shopping area, because people that come in from outside, they kill two birds with one stone. So I'm on side for option one. Thank you.
Another comment, Jeff?
Yes, just following up with your comment, Your Worship. It shouldn't be the city that has to do the sanitization aspects of things. It should be the farmers market. And I think that's all part of, them with the health unit and really focusing around, whether it makes sense for that organization to move forward. And the health unit is really making sure it's safe. So I don't think it should be the city putting more costs into it. It should be the folks that are utilizing the facility. Thanks.
I think Matthew has a couple comments he wants to make tonight as well. Matthew? Director Braun?
Thank you, Mayor Kidd. So I did want to make a couple comments on this. Councillor Whalen touched on the first thing I was going to mention, which is just this will send some mixed messaging to the public, and we need to be prepared to be able to respond to requests from other users of facilities, which I have had a couple myself personally. That is, again, just something to consider as well. I think Councillor LaFerriere just started talking about this, but I know if we're in this position where we're going to start asking facility over the course of a day to go shopping. While at the same time, we're closing some of our other buildings to minimize the interaction that our staff are having with the public. It sends again some more mixed messaging, and that's especially if washrooms are open in the facility for the public to use. I mean, the risk of transmission of COVID-19 is much higher indoors than it is anywhere else. So a couple things of concern from the Recreation Department, but otherwise, I don't think I have anything else to add. And thank you for the time to make these comments.
Thank you, Matt. Other comments, Councilor Gelly?
Yeah, thank you very much. I agree with allowing them to open it, and I think Jeff touched on the last, the item, the washrooms. If they have to be open, I believe it's their responsibility, because the portions of it certainly should be wiped down right after people use it. And, you know, I believe that's their responsibility. I read their letter and the guidelines set out for farmers markets as an essential service. And I feel fairly good about it. I haven't seen an answer back, or I didn't see one in there from the health unit yet on what they're going to be asking. I have a bit of a concern with the gathering of the hall coming in, how they're gonna, I'd like to know how they're gonna bring them in. I know what door they're gonna use to go in. I know what door they're gonna use to come out. Where is the staging area going to be to allow them to enter so many at a time? Is that staging area going to be marked off as the stores are marked off? Are there going to be arrows indicating which way to go? Just a few things like that I would like to know a little bit more about. I'm not as concerned as other people wanting to use our facilities. It's quite clear what can be used and what can't be. And the farmers market is a long time feature in our city. So I believe that's our biggest argument. If somebody wants to come in and just start something, that we're going with what we had. And I believe that would suffice that part of it. I had another comment, but it kind of slipped my mind. Other than, you know, my concern outside, and oh yes, if there is an issue outside, they will have to police this themselves. We do not have a bylaw officer that will be able to be called to tell people to move back, stand back, or keep a distance. So they're going to have to police this themselves. It's not something that we want to get out of hand and have to call the OPP in to talk to them about. I don't think that's their job. And so I think there's a lot of things we need to get really clarified before this, you know, actually opens. And hopefully the health unit, when they get back with their response, are going to be a very integral part of getting this set up safely and properly. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think the health unit itself is going to be down there monitoring anything that's going on during the farmers market. They're you know, looking at the setup and everything else, and giving their comments on how they're going to set it up there. I mean, it is going to be a municipal building. We're going to be responsible for whatever happens in that building. No matter whether the farmers market say they're going to clean and sanitize, it's still going to be our responsibility as a municipal building. So that's my concern. So, Councilor McCarthy, you got a comment as well?
Yeah, just to add to that, I think the folks, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. If they're shopping right now in the food stores, you know, they can see what's going on. I think a lot of them will be wearing masks. I think by the time we open it, I think they're going to know, probably know today, about the arrows, about you know, staying behind the line until the next person moves on. But I agree with all the other comments as far as policing it and making sure that it's going to be run by the market folks. And again, I think it's going to, time will tell. And I don't know about June the 1st. I do believe that's when they wanted to start, but that's another issue.
Billy?
Yes, I wasn't suggesting for a minute that the health unit would be policing this. All I'm saying is that we want to make sure it is set up properly. I also think there should be an understanding in this agreement. If for any reason this is not working and they're not doing the due diligence and we see that it's an issue, that we can cancel this at any time. I'm quite sure they will look after it very well. I have confidence in them, but just to protect ourselves. And the idea, I don't know if the washrooms have to be open when it's an open door in and out facility. I'm not sure about that. That's something the health unit can clarify. Certainly our town staff are gonna have to go in and clean the building when it's over. That's part of the mandate, but I don't think we need to be in there while it's on.
Chris, comment? And Danny?
Councillor Whalen can go ahead if he wishes, and then I can follow up.
Okay.
Okay, just quickly, there's lots of good comments here, and I don't think we really know what we're getting into. If you read the part on the provincial website, you don't do your cleanup after the end of the day. You do your cleanup during the day, and you do your sanitization on a continuous basis throughout the day. So we have to decide if the city's doing that or if the farmers market's doing that. And again, it's back to the is the health unit available to go down there and set this up, make sure that all the distancing is right and everything, or is that a municipal responsibility? So I'm not opposed to opening the farmers market, just there's a lot of unanswered questions here.
Chris?
So I could maybe answer some of the questions, and I believe Mitch may be on the line as well. He has had some discussion. I spoke specifically to Maria McLean at the Temiskaming Health Unit. So she's been dealing with the chairperson of the farmers market. So one of the things that we would be recommending is that the washrooms not be made available at this time. Perhaps we might be able to open them up later on in the year, but right now we want to do some monitoring. So we would look at not using the washrooms at this time. To answer Councillor Whalen's question about will the health unit do an inspection, yes, Maria had indicated to me she would go down with the Brewbakers and whoever else is involved with setting up the farmers market and go over the layout that they have, make sure that that meets all of the health unit specifications. There would be, to answer Councillor Jelly, the health unit did advise me they would require markings on the floor, and it would be basically one-way traffic looping through the building, so people would not be crossing each other. So you would, and the farmers market would also be required to have, so talk about the staging, there would be a limited number of people at any given time allowed to go in. The farmers market would provide their own personnel to monitor the people coming in. So I don't know the number off the top of my head, but let's say it's 10 people at a time, then they would let those 10 people in. They walk through that line in one row, and so the in and out is monitored by a person outside, and the lineups would have to maintain that 2-meter distancing as people are lined up to go inside. So the health unit is aware of all that and has been working with the farmers market group. And there are some other things that still need to be fleshed out a little bit between the farmers market and the health unit, but they are involved. As Mayor Kidd mentioned, they will not be involved in any enforcement or policing relating to the farmers market operation, but they certainly will be engaged in providing advice on layout and so forth.
I think the farmers market themselves would be responsible for the sanitation after every sale as people go through on a regular basis. I think that's going to be their responsibility. We would have to probably send their staff in after it's over and make sure everything's cleaned up and sanitized after it's over. But
Kid, it's Mitch. Can I just say something real quick?
yes, sir.
So just to reiterate on Chris's points, yes, the board from the farmers market has met with the health unit on multiple occasions. They are going to have volunteers on site policing the social distancing. There will be volunteers at the door, which is basically going to be the main entrance door, which is their staging area. They are only going to allow so many people in at a time. They're going to basically not have any tables at all in the center of the hall, only on the north wall and the south wall. And they will basically force customers through. They're going to go to the north wall first, loop around by where the kitchen area is, There will be no food being served out of the kitchen for now, and then the customers will continue around on the south side, and then we'll exit by the overhead door. Each booth would have its plexiglass set up in front, similar to any of the grocery stores. Everything would be pre-bagged. The vendors will all be wearing gloves and masks. All the protocols will be put in place as per the health unit requirement. Thank you.
Thanks, Mitch. Any
Most
other?
of my questions been answered.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councilor Whalen? Sorry?
No, I was just saying most of my questions here have been answered. So thanks to Chris and Mitch for that. So this has been opened by the province, not by the city. So I'm good to go.
Okay. Well, it sounds like we're looking at option number one. The motion will read, be it resolved, the Council of the City of St. Charles hereby acknowledge receipt of memo 007/2020 PW, and the Council authorizes the farmers market to commence operations as per the normal schedule in accordance with the guidelines developed by the Farmers Market Ontario and approved by the Temiskaming Health Unit. That was moved by Councilor Jelly, second by Councilor Ferrier. Anybody opposed to this motion at this point? If not, we'll consider this motion carried. Thank you. Moving on, 15E is memo 008/2020 PW, the municipal boat launches. And I have a motion draft resolution moved by Councilor Foley, second by Councilor Hewitt. Be resolved, the Council of the City of St. Charles hereby acknowledge receipt of memo 008/2020 PW, and the Council directs staff to open all municipal boat launches once the water level has risen to an acceptable level for proper access between the boat launches and the lake, or the Council directs staff to close all municipal boat launches until further notice. So, got any particular option that people would like to discuss? First of all, Councilor Whalen?
I'm good with option A. The premier's announced to marinas to get ready to open, start putting their dock for their service. So I'm good with A. I think if we can't be out in public, at least we can be out by ourselves in a boat somewhere.
Councilor Ferrier, your comment next, and Mike.
Thanks, Your Worship. I don't have an issue with option A. Originally, I thought this should all be in part of the recreation discussion that's happening on Thursday with a number of the trails and other things. And as long as there's consistency in treating, those things around the lack of risk, and really making sure that, when you look at Toronto and some of the other municipalities, they're opening up trails, walking paths, and boat launches. So, I'm totally in favor, and I think we should be when we really revisit our decision about some of the Stato Trail and some of the walking trails that we have. So thanks.
Councilor MacArthur?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as Danny and Jeff. I think that launching the boats would be a good thing, and again, the marinas are just around the corner from opening.
Jelly?
Yeah, I only have one comment, and I know, Mitch, I think we talked about it the other day. Any of our boat launches where you can launch two at a time, I believe should be knocked down to one boat launch at a time, just so that we're kind of encouraging and enforcing the distancing as far as boats coming in and out.
And we can post, if you want to post, use at your own risk there as well, because we will not be sanitizing those particular docks for the boat launches. So maybe it's something we can put that signage up there as well as part of this motion.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. It's Patricia. And in regards to the previous comment, this isn't about opening our marinas. This is about opening our launches. And so I think in a few weeks' time, we're going to see a different water level where it will mitigate safety, which makes better sense. And obviously, I also want that continuity of support for whatever is legislated. However, I think that moving forward, boat safety is going to abound, right?
No, I think if the individual wants to go in there or the family wants to go in there and launch their boat and then park their trailer and go fishing for the day, that's great. Promote that. There's not going to be any interaction with other people that are going on that way, so it's something great to do, and we'll still maintain the marinas as being closed for now until we get more direction from the province on that. So we do have that option A. The council directs staff to open all municipal boat launches once the water levels have risen to an acceptable level for proper access between the boat launches and the lake. Moved by Councillor Foley, second by Councillor Hewitt. Anybody opposed to that motion? Hearing none, we'll consider that motion carried as well. 15F was Administrative Report PW 011-2020, the biannual bridge inspections and roof inspections. And I have a motion draft resolution moved by Councillor MacArthur, second by Councillor Jelly. Be it resolved that the Council of the City of Victoria hereby acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report PW 011-2020, and the Council, in accordance with the bylaw 2017-015, the purchasing policy and procedures, section 3.5, the approval authority direct staff to prepare the necessary bylaw and agreement with DM Wills Associates Limited to conduct the biannual bridge inspection as well as the selected roof inspections as detailed in the request for proposals PW RFP 002-2020 for a total upset limit of $10,888 plus applicable taxes for consideration at the May 5th, 2020 regular council meeting tonight. So, any comments on that motion? Councilor MacArthur?
Yes, I just wondering if these folks have to actually do the Hillbury Arena or perform an inspection on them. We're putting a new roof on that building this year, and I don't know. I just thought that whether or not I know you have a contract with them, whether they have to do the Hillbury Arena. It doesn't make sense to me if we're putting a new roof on it. But anyway, I just asked.
Yeah, this was discussed at the building maintenance there. The part of the roof that's being replaced is just a membrane on the flat portion, so they're definitely going to have to go in and inspect the rest of the roof in that building as well. So it's only part of the roof that we're going to replace this year. So, any other comments? If not, anybody opposed to this motion? I will consider that motion carried. Thank you. 15G, Administrative Report PW 012-2020, the tender award for the crushing and stockpiling of granular M. And I got a draft resolution moved by Councillor Ferrier, second by Councillor Whalen. That Council for the City of acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report PW 012-2020. And the Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw and agreement with Alvin Caldwell Sand and Gravel Limited for the crushing and stockpiling of granular M in the contractor's pit location at a unit price of $6.35 per ton, with a maximum of 15,000 tons plus HST for consideration at the May 5th, 2020 regular council meeting later tonight. So, any comments on this draft resolution? Anybody opposed to this motion? Hearing none, we'll consider this motion to be carried as well. 15H, Administrative Report PW 013-2020, the tender award for the concrete sidewalk and curb repairs. And the draft resolution was moved by Councillor Jelly, second by Councillor Foley. Be it resolved, the Council for the City of Victoria acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report PW 013-2020, and the Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw and agreement with Pedersen Construction 2013 Incorporated for the 2020 concrete sidewalk and curb repair contract at the unit cost of $169 per square meter of sidewalk and $169 per linear meter of concrete curb and gutter, plus applicable taxes for consideration at the May 5th, 2020 regular council meeting later tonight. So, any comments? Anybody opposed to this motion? We'll consider that motion carry as well. 15I is Administrative Report PW 014-2020, the tender award for the 2020 asphalt patching. And I got a draft resolution moved by Councillor Hewitt, second by Councillor MacArthur. Be resolved that Council for the City of Victoria acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report PW 014-2020. That Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw in agreement with Miller Paving Limited for the award of the 2020 asphalt patching contract at a unit price of $51.30 per square meter for a 50 millimeter thickness and $92.30 per square meter for a 90 millimeter thickness plus applicable taxes for consideration at the May 5th, 2020 regular council meeting later tonight as well. Any comments? Anybody opposed to this motion? I will consider that motion carried as well. Moving on to the last new business, item number J, the request for the Earl Tristan Regional Airport Authority for the Ulmer's request. Draft resolution moved by Councilor LaFerrier, second by Councilor Whalen. Be it resolved the council for the city to acknowledge receipt of correspondence dated April the 29th, 2020 from the Earl Tristan Regional Airport Authority, and the council hereby authorizes staff to provide the requested letter of guarantee to the owners. So, this is something we're taking over the administration for the payroll and the benefit plans from the township of Marlton, doing that in-house now. So, any comments?
Yeah, my only comment, it's Tricia, is it's LaFerrier, not Lafreniere. Maybe you want to correct that.
Well, just like typo there, so we'll correct that. So, sorry, Jeff.
Just a little with that.
No worries. Maybe Patricia could help me spell it.
Anybody opposed to this motion? If not, I'll consider this one carries as well. So that's all the new business. We'll move into item number 16, the bylaws. And I motion moved by Councilor Foley, second by Councilor Jelly. Be it resolved that bylaw 2020-044 being a bylaw to appoint Logan Delonze as the municipal clerk for the city of Shores. Bylaw 2020-045 being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with DM Wills Associates Limited for the performance of a biannual bridge inspection service and roof inspections at the Nilisquid Pool Fitness Center, as well as the Don Shepson Memorial and Hillbury Arenas. Bylaw 2020-046 being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with Alvin Caldwell Sand and Gravel Limited for the crushing and stockpiling of Granular M. Bylaw 2020-047 being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with Patterson Construction 2013 Incorporated for the concrete sidewalk and curb repair services. Bylaw 2020-048 being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with Miller Paving Limited for the asphalt patching services. And lastly, bylaw 2020-049 being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with Miller Paving Limited for the 2020 roadway surfacing program. It's just under $1 million for that one. These bylaws hereby be introduced and given first and second reading. Anybody opposed to this motion?
Hey, Your Worship, I'm not opposed to it, but I do want to make a comment. It is some challenging times, and we had a special meeting last night where we deferred a lot of capital. It really is nice to see tonight we are passing some motions, really supporting a lot of small and medium-sized businesses in our community. They are employing a lot of folks that are really helping us get through this. So working together, it really is nice that we can support those groups tonight in some of these motions. So thanks.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Any other comments, questions? If not, anybody opposed to the motion passing these bylaws, first and second reading? If not, I'll consider that motion carried. And we have another draft resolution moved by Councilor Whalen, second by Councilor Hewitt. Be it resolved that bylaws 2020-044, 045, 046, 047, 048, and 049 be given third and final reading, be signed by the mayor and clerk, and the purple seal affixed thereto. Last chance for any comments. Anybody opposed to this motion? Hearing none, that motion carries well. Scheduled council meetings. We have the next regular meeting set up for Tuesday, May the 19th at 6 p.m. And the next one in June will be June the 2nd at 6 p.m. So, any questions at this point for council, either from councilors, from staff, from the public? Yes, Chris, sorry. Go ahead.
I just wanted to give a couple of reminders. I've been trying to follow a little bit some of the questions too. One was related to fire restrictions. That is a provincial order, and we are in a restricted fire zone. So I know May Long Weekend is coming up very shortly, and so just a reminder that as of right now, the fire restriction is still in place, and that is in place under provincial order. Our marinas are also closed. The province has advised that marinas can start preparing, but they are currently closed to users. So again, that's from the province. Councillor LaFerrier mentioned we are having a special recreation committee meeting on Thursday night. The health unit has developed some guidelines and best practices for parks. So structures within parks, including benches and playground equipment, gazebos, picnic shelters, those are still restricted areas right now. We have closed off 2 park areas along our waterfronts in the spur line and in Haileybury waterfront. We've also closed Pete's Dam Park and the trail at Devil's Rock. Those are some items that the Recreation Committee will be discussing and trying to see how our operations will look like within the Parks Department throughout the summer. So we will keep people posted through our various media outlets and social media outlets on anything that comes out of that. But I just wanted council to be aware the Recreation Committee is going to be meeting on some very important items that they'll be discussing on Thursday night. As well, with the May Long Weekend coming up, there will be a significant section of the Stato Trail that will be opening up along the roadways, and we do want to, we will be getting some messaging out to our residents on what appropriate social distancing may look like in using the Stato Trail. A lot of different studies out there about those using those on bicycles, and that it's actually a greater separation distance than the 2 meters. But there are other questions that people may have, like what happens when you are crossing someone, because most of our Stato Trail is a 2-way path. So how do people have questions about what's appropriate and how do they address those type of issues? So we'll have a little bit of some media campaign and some messaging going out about some of those things. But we are scheduled to get these sweeping and bollards up on a good section of the Stato Trail. As of right now, the sections along the waterfront are still closed, but as I mentioned, those will be discussed by the Recreation Committee this week, and we'll outline sort of a plan going forward. So things change very rapidly. Some of it we're subject to what the provincial orders are, and so we encourage people, if they have questions, send us their questions. A lot of people, we are trying to keep things posted on our Facebook page and Twitter and community bulletin. But if people do have questions, we certainly encourage them to reach out to us, and we'll try and get them the information as quickly as possible.
Just a couple updates on the fire restrictions there as well. I mean, we're looking at any kind of outdoor wood stove, outdoor fireplace, and as well as grass fires. We've had a couple instances where we've actually had grass fires, and that's definitely a no-no. We're not allowing any grass fires at this point, and we're not allowing outdoor bonfires or outdoor fire pits as well. The only, I guess, one exemption to that would be a propane outdoor fireplace. We've had one case of that the fire department did respond to, and it was a propane fireplace. So, any other questions, comments? I think.
My name, Mayor Kidd.
Yes, go ahead, Councilor Whelan.
Just a reminder about the virtual town hall that we're going to be holding. Remind the public of that. Our economic development officer provided us with the completed survey that gives us some valuable information. So you might want to remind everybody about that.
Yeah, I think James Franks is maybe on the line. I see his name come up there. Is there a message from James, or James want to make comments at this point?
Well, sure. I just certainly can wanted to invite business folks or certainly any member of the public that wanted to listen in. We're going to have all our members of council online next Tuesday evening, May the 12th, 6:30 p.m., as well as some of our local business services providers, Enterprise Temiskaming, the Chamber, the Community Futures Office, and others. And so the intent is for business people to be able to ask questions about the impacts of the current crisis on their business, and the city will do our best to answer their questions or at least point them in the direction of the services who can help them.
Good. Thanks, James. So that's at 6 o'clock on Tuesday night.
6:30.
At 6:30, sorry. So, any other questions on? Okay, Councilor Jelly first.
Yeah, just a quick comment, Your Worship, when you were referring to outdoor fires. I was asked twice today why we can't do something as a council. On the news and on Facebook, Romero Township have declared the ban over in their township and are allowing outside fires to assist with people's health and activities, etc. So just explain to them that we are help. Just explain to the control by the province as far as that is concerned. So what Romero Township do, I don't know who's controlling them, but anyways, that may have been a reason for some questions. I know I had two today.
Yeah, okay. No, we don't need our fire departments being called out to these fires that are risking their safety as well. So, any other questions on the chat box? And Chris, you had a comment too? Chris?
Sorry, I did speak with Tim today about that, and I think Tim is on the line specifically about that Romero Township issue, because I too had some inquiries on that. My understanding is the township itself had imposed a fire ban, but they were not included in, there are zones within the province, and their particular zone, in their particular zone, there was not the provincial restriction. Therefore, it was up to local determination. But Tim, I don't know if you want to expand on that a little bit, or what you had told me today.
Yeah, certainly I can expand a little bit, Chris. The province, it is a restricted fire zone, and there's certain areas within the province of Ontario that aren't included in the zoning. So those municipalities wouldn't be under that restricted fire zone. They would make whatever determinations themselves. And I did just also mention, I think Councillor Jelly brought it up, the propane fired appliances are approved for use. They're not included in the restricted fire zone. However, we really ask residents when they are using them to take precautions. But hopefully that clarifies the restricted fire zone. It is a provincial order, so the municipality, we have to follow that order.
Thank you, Tim. Any other questions on the chat box or anything?
Yeah, hi, it's Patricia.
Yes.
And just in regards to upcoming opportunities, there's a meeting on May 8th, 9:30, that you have the opportunity to speak with the minister, Melanie Jolie, in regards to different items. And I encourage council as well as different participants to tap into that. It's hosted through Sudbury Chambers, and primarily, although we know tourism has historically been regarded economically as a runner-up to other industry resources, we do have data that prove that the return on investment from tourism is much greater than return on investment from agriculture, forestry, and mining combined. And I think this is our time to speak out. And so I encourage Danny specifically from Phenom to perhaps participate with that meeting and be our voice for Northeastern Ontario to support economic development, specifically for tourism in our northern region, and just to get that voice out there.
Yeah, I was notified of that teleconference this afternoon there, so I will be registering for that. I don't know whether Councillor Whalen and probably James Franks maybe as well. maybe registering for that teleconference as well.
I've already spent a day on a video conference with Minister Jolie over the different northern issues, so I may tap into this chamber, but she already has my input.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions? Yes, Logan.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. My apologies, I was experiencing some technical difficulties earlier during your welcome. So just wanted to thank you very much for your warm reception. And I certainly look forward to working with you and members of council and staff for the progressive work at the city. And it's certainly an honor to be back. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Appreciate that. So, any other questions at this point? If not, I'm going to read the last motion here, and we'll actually close it, our open session of council, and we're going to close off the live streaming. And I've got a motion, draft resolution moved by Councilor MacArthur, second by Councilor Ferrier. Be it resolved that council agrees to convene in closed session at 7 o'clock to discuss the following matters. A, the adoption of the April 7th, 2020 closed session minutes, as well as B, under section 239(2)C of the Municipal Act 2001, the proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality regarding a portion of Padgett Street. So, anybody opposed to that motion? If not, we'll consider that carried. And I do thank all the people who joined us online there tonight, and we'll see you in a couple weeks' time.
Extremely mild weather, mixed precipitation, no precipitation. Some simply call it El Nino. For Southern Ontario snowmobilers, the 2016 season is the season that never was. And what little snow some areas did have can't be used because of unsafe conditions and forced trail closures. But that's just Southern Ontario. We've all heard rumors that just a few hours north lies some of the province's best kept snowmobiling destinations. So we set off on the ultimate road trip, hitting as many areas as possible on a quest for snow. We left the city feeling very skeptical because it seemed like the entire province was being hit with a curtain of rain. Determined to push on, we continued driving north, and what was immediately apparent was that we were not the only ones on this journey. The further north we went, the conditions continued to improve, revealing miles of fresh-groomed trails and backcountry adventures. Snowmobiling in the north is not just an activity, it's a way of life. And each community we visited welcomed us with open arms, knowing we were all there for the same reason. Parking lots were filled with evidence of others on this same quest, yet on the trails it felt like we were completely alone. In this vast snowy playground, snowmobilers experienced the north the way it was meant to be, from the trails. And it doesn't matter what you ride, just as long as you ride. So if you're just sitting there, staring at your sled, wondering what to do next, quit wasting time. Just load up and head north. Think your season is over? Well, think again.
What if I told you there's a place nearby that even the locals haven't fully explored? That you can visit it entirely from the water and everything is just a few steps from the docks? What if I told you that there was a place that actually is picture perfect? That people there are happy even on rainy days? This summer, I visited this place with my family, and the things we found while traveling on our boat blew our minds. I know what you're thinking. Did you sleep in cabins or tents? What did you eat? Could you find gas? Did they even have the internet there? The truth is, they have countless modern resorts, hotels, inns, historic homes, and lodges right on the lake. The resorts that we stayed at were absolutely incredible, offering all the services you could expect and beyond. We stayed in places full of history, places that invited us into the past. If you want to see Canada as it was, you can find it here, and there's where we truly connected. And you might ask, weren't you bored? Is there anything to do there? Doesn't it all look the same? Well, everywhere we went, there was always something to do. We checked out their amazing skate park, visited a fossil museum, played with the kids at the beach and parks by the water, and we checked out historical sites like an old fort. The list of things to see and do was endless. The streets here are the same width as the city, but there are fewer of them and they're a lot less busy. We tasted some great food, actually we tasted a lot of great food, with amazing vistas from the patios. We even saw a chocolate factory just a few steps from our boat. There were full-service marinas at every town where local people greeted my family in French and English. These people have a wealth of stories to share about their land and their cultures. So what if I told you we saw all of this from just one lake? Just like the voyageurs who traveled these lands over 400 years ago. This place broke down the stereotypes we had about small-town country life. We'd heard of this place with a big cow, and everyone here lived from the land. And there's a quaint little farmer's market every Saturday, and while that's true, it is quaint and the pace is slower, it's also so much more. This is a warm area where they don't see provincial borders, where we visited one lake, 2 provinces, and 3 cultures. This is a place where families have been coming for hundreds of years and never want to leave. When I saw the joy in my family's face when the kids were playing their games, I couldn't help but think how folks have been playing on these shorelines for generations, and it never gets old. We'd passed through this area once before on our way to Highway 11, but there's a side of this region that we had completely missed. Although this area is right around the corner, its beauty and mystery remain relatively unknown until you decide to explore. This summer, I visited Lake Temiskaming by boat, and it was the best family vacation of my life.
the April 7th, 2020 closed session minutes as printed. Anybody opposed to that motion? Consider that one carried as well. And the confirming bylaw, draft resolution moved by Councilor MacArthur, second by Councilor Hewitt. Be resolved that bylaw 2020-050 being a bylaw to confirm certain proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the City of St. George for its regular meeting held on May the 5th, 2020, be hereby introduced and given first and second reading. Anybody opposed to that? We will consider that one carried. And second last motion moved by Councilor Foley, second by Councilor Whalen. Be it resolved that bylaw 2020-050 be given third and final reading, be signed by the mayor and clerk and the corporate seal affixed thereto. Anybody opposed to that motion? We'll consider that one carried. And last motion moved by Councilor Jelly, second by Councilor Ferrier, be resolved that the City Council hereby adjourns at 7:08. Anybody opposed to that? We will consider this meeting closed. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, Logan.
Good evening.
Have a good night.
Good night,
Good night,
everybody.